What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Strong. I'm Pedro, and I got Austin with me to my right or left, whatever one you consider it. What's up, dude?
Oh, not much. Just another day at the office, huh?
How are you? How are you doing? I think it's the most
Oh,
important question.
I don't know if I've ever felt worse being a football fan, but it's okay because we move on. But we're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about it.
We're here to talk about everything that happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yep, 2 weeks.
So if you've been living under a rock, MLS is back. The tournament is going on, and in Miami, when we started this whole show episode podcast / video thing, Austin had high hopes for Inter Miami, believing that they could win out the group, come in first place, win the tournament, and get a CONCACAF Champions League berth. I, on the other hand, said they were going to lose in the first round, and Austin gave me this really weird look. It was super funny. But now, here we are, 3 weeks later.
0-5.
The worst start for a amateur. Wow, the worst start in a. It could be in a way. It was the worst start in a expansion team's history.
Yep.
What went wrong? I mean, that the only thing that we can talk about right now is what we have in front of us, and what we have in front of us is probably the most sloppy, ugly type of soccer I've ever seen in a team play against on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And Miami did not play very well at all. Miami looked like they were literally Fort Lauderdale CF. And it was embarrassing. And if fans aren't embarrassed, then they're okay with losing. And that's fine, because I'm okay with it, because I knew this was going to happen. But people like Austin aren't okay with it because they expected more from the team, and I get that. High hopes, expectations. But you got to look at it on the other side as well, and you got to realize that as for an expansion team, it's not easy. Life for an expansion team is not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not. We've come to the harsh realization of that. We learned it the hard way, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we were promised so much, which we'll get into that later. But we were promised so much at the and I wasn't too upset about not signing this star because I didn't think it was realistic in the first place. But we were promised that. We were promised stylish football. We were promised good games, good players, good team play. Alonso coming in. Oh my gosh, what a manager! And here we are, 0-5, losing every single game by individual mistakes and errors. And yes, every game was by one goal. You could say it was close, but in all reality, this team is not where it needs to be at all.
That New York game was not close at all. New York just didn't play well.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's okay, so it was a 9 a.m. game. We can get into the game if you want.
We can do whatever we want.
Let's get into this game because it was a 9 a.m. game on a Monday morning, which, all right, you're playing in Orlando conditions, but guess what? Every other team has to do it, so there's no excuse. I'm tired of the excuses. I know we were off for 140. I'm tired of the excuses. We're not gaining points.
Yeah.
But it's a 9 a.m. game, and Alonso came out and said, press. Press for 45 minutes. We pressed. And then we just saw tired legs in the second half. There was only 2 shots on goal from us in the first half, no matter how much we were pressing. We had about 35% possession, I'm pretty sure, at the end of the first half, something crazy. And 2 shots on goal from headers that were loopy, and, they didn't really have to do that much to save. It was terrible. It was a terrible, terrible game to watch. Terrible team play. Nobody's focused. Like, Sheikh Johnson saying nobody's focused, nobody's connecting, the passes aren't there. We're doing everything we can, but it was probably the worst game of football I've ever seen, and I tweeted that out.
I don't think they did the best they could. To me, it felt like, actually, no, I'll take that back. I think they did the best they could. They just don't have the talent to compete. And I know you're not going to agree with me because you think they have a great talent, but this team doesn't have talent. Besides Pizarro up front and Morgan on the right, I want to say.
Yeah.
Besides those two, this team doesn't have anybody else. You're gonna sit there and tell me that having Robles is good, but he is not playing the way he's been playing before. He was playing before.
No, yeah,
Torres is not the same Torres that won the MLS Cup with Seattle. Figel, what? Trap, not the same guy playing for the U.S.
terrible.
national team. Ambrose, nope.
Ugh,
Morgan, yes, good. Pellegrini,
awful.
are you kidding me?
That's our DP. Come on now.
No, the only guy I'm not even going to mention Agudelo because
Doesn't deserve his name to be
deserve to
said.
be talked. Only two guys in this entire tournament that did anything for me to go, oh wow, this team is good, is Pizarro. And I even tweeted this out because I wasn't a big fan of Pizarro when he came to the team. I was like, this is kind of a silly signing. But I was like, I'm starting to grow. I'm starting to like him more and more every day. And he's I like him. I like Pizarro and Oregon. The rest of this team should be blown up and changed and figure something out. You have some guys in the bench that could make a difference, not a big difference, but a little difference. For example, Lee Nguyen needs to start. I don't understand why he's not starting yet.
After the first game, he needs to be starting the second game. After the second game, and he's still not starting in the third game, and you see the impact that he's put.
Yeah, exactly. There's some guys that you don't understand. There's no real logical reason behind what happened. Some of these guys, and you know what? I think some of it's because Alonso doesn't want to. He doesn't think that these guys are quote unquote the better players, but these guys made a difference. When Lee Nguyen made a difference when he played. That's not. I'm not being like a homer for it.
It's
like
a fact.
he did.
Yeah,
he made a difference, and having him in the team is good. But if you're not going to start him and you're going to put him in for 30 minutes at a time, he's not going to have enough time to get his to get rolling.
The trap Ulloa midfield is not what we saw in the first two games. They gave us some. Maybe it was just the excitement that made him play well, honestly. But in this tournament, we probably had the worst midfield in any game that I saw. All three games. I mean, there was no other midfield that was as bad as we were. We weren't protecting the back line. We weren't connecting to the front three. Nothing like that. And a real reason why Lee Nguyen needs to start is because he's played the attacking mid role, and that's where he was so good. That's where he was an MLS All-Star, right? Then he goes to LAFC, and Bob Bradley needs to use him as a defensive mid, and he played that role absolutely perfectly. He was one of the best defensive mids in MLS when he was at LAFC. And here we are, not starting a guy. Yes, he's older, right? He is older, and maybe he's not going to give you a full 90. But for 60 minutes,
you got to have him started.
That's a guy that's going to create. That's a guy
100%.
that's Trapp and Ulloa just didn't do it for me, and I think we need to see change. One thing that we really could have used was the Agustin Almendra signing from Boca Juniors. That fell off due to the coronavirus, but that could be a midfielder who was young and promising that has been compared to Riquelme, who, I mean, that's somebody we could have used in the midfield. We had no midfield.
Yeah.
So that was a big problem.
Yeah. What boggles my mind is the lack of, and I think we touched on this last episode. Like, if Alonso felt like he had some pressure, and to me, watching this game on Monday, it looked like he doesn't have any pressure. It doesn't look like it looks like he knows he's not gonna have any problems. It looks like he knows that the ownership group is okay with what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so he didn't create. He didn't change it up enough to give the team a chance to win because he thinks that his lineup is gonna work. And it's the fifth game and it's not working. So I think after the while you got to realize, hey, I should probably change this lineup a little bit. And I'll tell you what, though, I'm glad that he put Sweat on the bench.
Yeah, that was a good thing. That was one positive I'll give him. He puts not that Ambrose is any better,
nah.
But Sweat didn't deserve to play.
You know who's better?
AJ De La Garza.
That's right. But why doesn't he play him?
Listen, well, we got 4 weeks
between Ambrose, Sweat, and De La Garza. I'm starting De La Garza, and
the only problem with playing De La Garza on the left side is that he's right-footed. That's my only thing.
Yeah, but
You want your left back to be left footed. You want your right back to be right footed. That's
how you
that's how
want.
you want it.
But
But at the same time, dude, Sweat and Mike Ambrose don't even have the quality to get balls forward to begin with. So it's like the same thing.
exactly. So what's the difference? So I mean, I'm just saying, if that was me, I would have thought about that change. But you know, what? I'm not the coach. All I know is I can tell. I'm watching this game, and I could tell that he doesn't have any real threat to
No.
leave. So he's just like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it my way. And he kind of mentioned that in his press conferences too. It's like, oh, it's just a process. You know, he's using the old Eric Spoelstra mentality, which is fine, but at the same time, this is a brand new franchise, kind of like just like you mentioned earlier. You know, the fans have been promised world class, and they have been given nothing. And it's
A
so
direct quote from Jorge Mas is, we are going to be the best team in the Western Hemisphere.
yeah. I mean,
What?
and to go along with that, these it's just sad because you hear all these promises, not just from Inter Miami. You can talk about any other team in the world, right? You make these promises, you can't cash in on some of these promises. Like how are you gonna say that you're gonna be the best team of the Western Hemisphere
And start Juan Agudelo as your striker.
like how are you going to like replicate, like how are you gonna know that, hey, we're now the best team of the Western Hemisphere? Yeah, you gotta win. You know what you do, you gotta win the CONCACAF Champions League.
I get the idea of wanting to excite your fans, right? And give them this dream that we're going to be a world-class team and we're going to dominate the league, we're going to do great, win trophies. But that set them up for the disappointment that we are all feeling right now.
Yeah.
It set every single fan up for the disappointment we're feeling right now.
Right.
And no, I don't think the team is going to lose the fans at all, because we haven't had professional football in however many years it was since the Fusion left. It's just sad. It's disheartening. It's disappointing. And every fan has every right to be absolutely infuriated with Moss, McDonough, Beckham, and Alonso.
Yeah, and that's the thing that it comes down to it. It's people are expecting so much. And I'm always a strong believer in, I don't want to mess this up. I'm a strong believer in, I don't want to promise too much, but I want to give more than I promise. And so
under promise, over deliver.
There you go. Under promise, over deliver. Yeah. Sometimes I just can't think of these things on the spot. If Beckham and company did that, maybe they wouldn't have as much of a target on their back as they have right now. You know, hey, what's so bad? What's so bad about being an expansion franchise that looks to be middle of the pack? To me, like, listen, you're not gonna not get any fans. Like, if you literally, your fans are gonna come regardless, because it's professional soccer. It's exciting. The color scheming is awesome. The logo is pretty cool, and you got David Beckham in there, and so like, players, like, people are gonna come to watch. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to lie to them and say we're gonna be a world class team. Maybe what he's trying to say is we're gonna be a world class team, as in facilities and personnel, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that's not what people heard. People heard we're going to start winning from day one. And, you know, you bring McDonough in, like, oh man, that's the guy who made Atlanta be Atlanta. And then it just becomes, crazy, because
he's also the guy that made Orlando be Orlando. So.
Right. Exactly. And so it's just, I remember people talking about that, and the whole thing with Beckham and the MLS, the MLS's marketing, like a world class city is a world class team. Like, I get that, but you're an expansion franchise with no serious DP, with no attacking players. Your goalie was one of the best goalies in MLS, but the last couple of games has not looked anywhere near what he used to be.
One of the worst. Probably bottom three all keeper performances of this tournament so far. Terrible.
Pretty terrible. Yeah. I mean, I remember after the first game, we both gave him like a benefit of the doubt. And we kind of defended him. Like, we had some people in the comments. I remember perfectly. We had people in the comments saying how bad he was, and we're like, oh no, he wasn't bad. Like, it was really defending. But no, after a while, dude, there's not much you can defend. Like, he wasn't good.
He wasn't good.
He wasn't good.
That's a comment I love. We needed David Silva. If David Silva was on this team, like at this is the time he should have been on this team. If there was no coronavirus, his contract is up at Man City. They're not playing anymore. He was supposed to be here in this summer window. That's what we were told. And guess what? Circumstances happen, but it doesn't give you any reason not to overcome that.
We're also told by Beckham that his phone doesn't stop ringing with people wanting to join. Okay, so if your phone doesn't stop ringing, pick up your phone and call one of these guys.
Agudelo should not be the starting striker. Pellegrini should not be our left mid. He shouldn't have been our DP. I mean, granted, he's 19, 20 years old, but
he's a young D. Like he's the.
I get it.
There's two different DP types, and he's the younger one. So he doesn't really.
It's fine. It is what it is, and okay. Well, let's try and develop him, but you still promised us results, and we've gotten literally 0 out of 5 games.
Yeah. So let's look at these results from the New York City game. Miami got destroyed in possession overall. New York had 60% of the possession. Miami had 41 or 40, if you want to go that way. Miami had more shots than New York, right? Miami had 1 extra shot, so they had 8 compared to New York 7. But they both had the same amount of shots on target.
2.
Yeah, they both had the same amount, the same type of, did the same. And so, and their passing accuracy was not good. They only had 75% passing accuracy compared to New York's 84%. And so it's just a whole accumulation of things that happened. That was not what anybody expected. And I kind of feel like waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning made more people upset. Like I woke up at 9 for this, and this is what you guys give me. Yeah. And so I can see that. And that's why I didn't want to do a show with you afterwards, because it would have been like a mess.
I would not have been happy.
I'd have been like, dude, it's 9 o'clock. It's like 10:30 in the morning. I get it. It's rough, but it wasn't a good game. Inter Miami they've made history. They're the first expansion team to start 0-5. So hey, there's history there. You're off in the record books.
Side of history. I'm
in the record books for at least a couple more years until these new franchises come in. Hopefully, they lose more than 5 games.
Yeah.
The fact that FC Cincinnati did not lose 5 games to start off should be depressing and upsetting to any Inter Miami fan.
Yeah, it's sad. It's losing 5 games in a row, no matter where you are in football, is terrible.
And you can't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, well the pandemic." No, like that's not good enough anymore.
It's not an excuse. Every team's going through the same thing, and other teams are winning. So what do you have to say? Now, we didn't get to see Nashville play, so we didn't have somebody to compare ourselves to in all reality.
That's true.
But
that's
still, this is not.
Nashville didn't play, so
so we don't really know what the bar was for an expansion team. And
I will say, maybe if what's going on?
No, go ahead.
No, I bet if Nashville played, they probably would have been 0-5 too.
You think so? Yeah, I mean, they drew. I'm pretty sure they drew in one of their first 2 games.
Oh, they
did.
Right,
they've already
got
a point. They've already got a point. They're already ahead of us, dude. Don't even worry about it. Man, oh man. But yeah, so that New York City game was tough. The possession, yes, they controlled possession, but like I said, Alonso wanted to press the first 45 minutes, and all of their passing was mostly between their back line and their own third, which that's a good game. That's a good game plan. I mean, if you want to come out on all fronts, but we have no goals to show for it, so it doesn't even matter.
And that's the thing. You want to press, that's fine. But I remember I was watching, because I rewatched the first half of the game later on, and he was saying, Alonso said something, and I was like, yeah, dude, you're 100% right. He said everything's going through Pizarro. He needs some help. And I'm like, if that's not the thesis of this whole story, I don't know what is. Pizarro doesn't have help. He is a good player, but if you don't have help, you're not going to win a game. You can't win with one guy.
And Alonso likes to be, the thing is with Alonso, he likes to be direct. And the direct style of play is fine, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with not having the ball on the ground too much and trying to take the balls over the top. That's okay. Listen, if that's the game plan and it's worked for Alonso, we know that. Yeah. Him and Pizarro have that history, winning CONCACAF Champions Leagues, winning the Mexican League. We know that, right? But with these players who aren't making good runs, nobody's moving in the final third. Nobody's even moving in the midfield. You can't get the ball off of Pizarro's feet because he's got no one to pass the ball to. Nobody's making the runs.
That's right.
Robbie Robinson was making those runs. A lot of balls were going over the top to him in the first 2 games. Unfortunately, he had to leave. But then it comes to squad depth. If we don't have that, you're never going to be successful. Yeah. So that's not an excuse either. It's just not. Yes, Robbie Robinson might have made this team better, but he's a rookie, and there was still room for error there. Yeah. But there's no depth, so it doesn't matter. It literally does not matter, and it's disappointing. It is completely disappointing. We don't have the style of football we want, and it's not working. Pizarro is a bright spot, yes, but we expected that. He's a DP. Lewis Morgan has been a great surprise for us. Not a surprise to me. I kind of expected this, but he's a great player.
Yes.
And you saw the first 60 minutes, it was all Pizarro. Everything, right? Pizarro was pressing, he was running, he was going off the midfield with the ball, he was getting tackled. I think he was the most fouled player of the match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then in the final 30 minutes, Lewis Morgan was doing everything by himself, and Pizarro was drained, absolutely drained, couldn't move like he was in the first 60 minutes. And Lewis Morgan is running down the wings and trying to cut inside and do all these things, and there's no one to pass the ball to. You had Agudelo and Carranza on at the same time at one point in this game, and you could not find a ball to either one of them.
Did you see I think at the end, close to the end of the game, you could just see the fitness level of the entire team go down. I remember specifically a part where Torres was getting up from a foul or something.
It was the play where he ran all the way back on a counter, and made
and he couldn't get up. He was just he was holding his his hands were in his knees. Like, this was rough, and there was nobody to replace him.
That's the thing. There is somebody to replace him. And he wasn't allowed to play.
That's true.
Torres won't be playing another game for Inter Miami unless that's a sub for a very long time. I will say that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue to, we talked about the tournament. It was a dumpster fire, in my opinion. Not what anybody expected, but there are some positives to look forward to whenever it is we go back to playing. Right now it says 4 weeks, right, in a month. But I
think Alonso said in a presser that it was in 4 weeks we'll be back to the regular season, whatever he said. So 4 weeks, what we're expecting.
Yeah, hopefully that's it. If that's not the case, but if that's not the case, whenever they go back to playing, Leandro Gonzalez Perez is coming in from Club Tijuana.
Yep,
and he is, I feel like we've been talking a little bit now for the last 20 minutes about how we need a good player. This is a good player that can make some difference in this team.
He is somebody who will help play in a back three that Alonso has liked. If the back three contains Reyes, Figal, and Perez, and they can develop a chemistry, at this point we're going to lose games, right? If those three can develop a chemistry, and we have Dylan Nealis on the right wing backside, and God knows who on the left side, because that position is gone. We don't know who we're going to play. But if those three can develop some kind of chemistry, all being in the prime stages of their career, Perez is 28, I think Reyes is 22, 21, and Figal's 25, 26.
Mm-hmm.
That's a defense to look forward to, and it could be one of the best in MLS. If it weren't for, the rules of MLS, we could have seen it, right? We could have seen that in the first game because Torres had the red card and Perez could have been in there instead of Ben Sweat playing center back, which was god awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when we come back, we'll be able to finally see Perez play. There's no doubt in my mind he'll be in the starting lineup. You have to at this point.
Yeah, some background, because I feel like people might not know who he is, because I know when we signed him, you were super pumped, and I was like, "Who the heck is this guy?"
Mm-hmm.
Perez played 3 years for Atlanta United, so he has MLS experience, which is something I'm always talking about, and he has actual soccer caliber, which is something that you always talk about. He played over 30 games in all 3 seasons with Atlanta United, won an U.S. Open Cup, won an MLS Cup. He was nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, I think 2 of those 3 years. He didn't win, but he was nominated, which is
it was a top 5 defender in the league. That's all you need to know.
Top 5 defender in the league. This is a guy that will make a difference in the back. But again, it doesn't change the fact there's no guy up front.
Correct. And there were, the goal scored in the NYCFC game. Alejandro Moreno was very adamant about talking about this. The pressure was there up front, right?
Yeah.
But the back line was caught sleeping. So if you're going to move up the back line and the pressure is there, and then there were tired legs, so it wasn't really there, and the back line is moving forward thinking there's going to be pressure, you're going to get beat over the top every single time. And that's exactly what happened. If Pires is there, does that happen? You don't know. You have no idea. But Torres and Figal were completely to blame for that. Absolutely to blame.
Yeah,
they let a defender, they let an attacker get right through them. Ball goes over the top after pressing a high line without a pressing force up front, and there it goes. The individual mistakes cost his team. It's the reason why 90 scored in the first game. Dylan Nealis got beat. Figal had his back turned. Mikey Ambrose wasn't or Ben Sweat wasn't defending anybody on the 97th minute goal, right? In the Philadelphia Union game, Robas, individual mistake leads to a goal right through his hands. And then you look at the NYCFC game, the defense gets beat because they're pressing a high line. Defenders are caught sleeping, ball over the top, great touch, goal.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's always it's the three losses. They were all defensive mishaps.
Yeah,
which is important to remember because sometimes it happens. Sometimes goals happen. It's soccer. Goals happen, and so it's not a big deal. But if your defense is getting beat every single one of these times, it's not okay. Yeah, obviously
but they're asked to do a lot. We'll say that.
Yeah, obviously someone's gonna come out and say, "Well, Pedro, if you get scored on, your defense was beat." Like, not necessarily.
No, yeah,
not always. It's sometimes great, play from the other team to get there. It's not mental mistakes from your defense that makes you lose a goal. So, for the fact that against Orlando, against Philadelphia, and against New York, they're all defensive mishaps that happened that became a goal, is a problem. Now, is Pires going to fix that? I don't know. He's not going to. I mean, it's also very dangerous to put a lot of hope in someone and then this guy doesn't deliver.
Yeah, no, for sure. But he has the resume which Reyes, Figal don't, right?
Yes,
Nealis doesn't. So I think he'll work in a back three. Not that I don't think he was used to that in Atlanta. I don't think they played that there, but I think he'll work in a back three because a defender like Figal who loves to be aggressive and get forward when he can, then you have two people backing him up, right? Mm-hmm. So that works. If Alonso can get on Figal and get him to be more disciplined, which I don't necessarily love. I love Figal. I love the way he plays. He does make he does make mistakes. We've seen that, and it is what it is. Everybody's making mistakes on this team. But Figal has these. Everybody is. Figal has this. Figal has this good defending quality that, if he's disciplined and doesn't move forward and stays back there, maybe that's one of the best center back tandems in the league with Pires and Figal. You don't know.
Yeah,
it's just the individual mistakes that are killing us, and hopefully Pires doesn't make a lot of those, and we can have a solid defense because that's what you need in MLS clearly. But you also need a striker. 2 goals in 3 games.
Yeah, and to that point, David Beckham went public on social media today or yesterday, one of the two.
I think it was yesterday.
To defend his team, which, I mean, it's his baby, so he's going to defend it. And he said, and I quote from his Instagram, "Sometimes the road is long and you need to take a breather. Manchester United, Real Madrid, La Liga, and the Premiership weren't built in a day. Teams, players, clubs need time to flourish, but when they do, all these hard times seem so distant. It's important to take time to reflect on what we have achieved so far. Proud of my team, our club, and the amazing fans we have. Patience is a virtue."
They take more pride in the fact that they built this team like it's Rome than anything else. They don't care about the style. They built the stadium, they did this, and they got past all of these hardships after 7 years. They take more pride in that than the product on the field, and that's a problem.
I disagree. I think that what Beckham said is beautiful, and I also believe.
No, I agree. What he said is fine, but
all right, but I didn't finish. I think that you're a Heat fan,
yeah.
So when Miami signed the Big Three, Boyd County, when Miami signed the Big Three, a lot of expectations were placed on them, right? Like unexplainable amounts of pressure on them. They lost their first game to Boston. I'll never forget that game. Lost to Boston. What did LeBron James say that first interview as a Heat player?
Not
Remember?
one, not
Do you remember?
two.
No. You remember what he said?
No.
Rome wasn't built in one day.
Yeah.
And everyone said, "Wow, you just wanted your money," and blah 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 blah. And it showed later that it worked. Now,
this isn't
this isn't the
big
Heat.
three.
These aren't, and this isn't
On
LeBron
Cavani,
James.
maybe I'll say, okay, now we have expectations that we can
Yeah,
actually
this
love.
isn't LeBron James, and this isn't Dwayne Wade, and this isn't Chris Bosh playing, but the sentiment's the same. It's not now. This version of David Beckham is the version I wish he said and portrayed throughout the entire process.
Yes.
I understand that you have to hype up your fans. I understand that you have to show confidence on what you're building so you can get sponsors, you can get, the deals that you need to get done. But this Beckham is the Beckham that we needed from day one. Like, hey, it's going to be hard. If you thought getting a stadium and getting a team in Miami is hard, wait until we start playing. That's going to be harder.
Yeah.
But it takes time, and once that time comes, we're going to look back and say, oh, wow, look at all we accomplished.
And I think that fans, they're obviously very much upset right now. But like I said before, earlier in the show, they're not going to lose anybody. There's no way. This is our team, right? And I think Miami takes pride in its soccer culture. I don't think it's the same as basketball and football with the Dolphins and the Heat.
Yeah.
There will always be people to show up to Inter Miami football games. And I think there are always going to be fans. And no matter how upset they are, deep down, they are willing to have this patience that is going to be needed with this team.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of patience.
Yeah.
And
that's
once we get over the hump of the first win, then it's going to look bright. I mean, really, really, really bright.
Yeah. After a win, especially if it's a convincing win, that's going to change everything. And the 5-game losing streak ends and a whole new thing starts. I just had wished, when I read Beckham say that, I'm like, why couldn't you say this when we started? Because if you said that when you started, people wouldn't have the expectations that you put on this team. Like you said earlier, like you promised XYZ, now deliver, and now they're not going to deliver. And so had David and all of them said, hey, this is going to take time, but it's going to happen. You just need to be patient. I think people like you would not have been as upset bowing out of the tournament, crashing
100%,
out.
100%. And I totally agree with that. The expectations were very, very, very high. And a lot of it was fan-made, I will say that. And I know that, it ultimately comes down to Moss and McDonough and Beckham mostly saying these things. But then you have fans creating rumors, and it just got crazy. And that's just how soccer media is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be a controversial statement, okay? Get ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Is it a hot take?
After the first 2 games, I saw a different team, which is not controversial. We saw a different team. And against LAFC, against CC, we saw a totally different team than what we saw in the last 3 games. March 14th, 2020, the first time that Inter Miami should have been playing in Lockhart Stadium against LA Galaxy would have been the first time they got 3 points.
I don't think so.
100% the first time they got 3 points.
I don't think so.
They were LA Galaxy played awful their first 2 games, absolutely terrible. We were going forward. We were making strides. Then we're getting into rhythm, and we're going home for our first ever game in a packed out stadium, our own stadium.
Yeah,
all that together.
Yeah, if anything, they probably would have won because of the fans.
No, 100. That's what I don't even know if it had to do with the quality. Chicharito's trash. I'm sorry, he's played terrible. Nothing about LA Galaxy excites me this season at all, except for Pavon, who has been incredible. But that's it. That's all they have. It's kind of like us with Pizarro. That's all they have. Nothing else is exciting about LA Galaxy.
Right.
March 14th would have been our first win, and I think it would have changed the entire.
But if you sit there and keep talking about what ifs the whole time, it's not going to help.
Right? No. It's not an excuse to say that we should have.
For sure, not an excuse. And I don't think they would have won. I don't think that nothing happening now was going to be different if the pandemic didn't stop the world.
I think it would have been pretty different. But I do think that it should have been overcome because every team is being delivered the same adversity.
Yeah.
But go watch those first 2 games. If you're a fan that hasn't watched them or watched the highlights in a while, go watch those first 2 games. We were on the front foot a lot of those games, and we should have scored goals. But
again, no goal scorers.
Vermeer was man of the match in the LAFC game. I will always preach that, just like Pizarro did. That tells you what you need to know about that first game and that quality. The referee had probably the worst performance of all referees in football, other than the Chelsea Barca UCL final. But against DC, it is what it is. But there was so much to look forward to with this team that I don't see now after those first two games compared to these three games. I don't know what to look forward to other than Pires joining. I'm not excited about 4 weeks to come. Yes, there's going to be product on the field, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to win anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a tale of two teams, really. If you really want to get down to it, to me personally, I don't think nothing would have changed. They probably would have won that game against the Galaxy, simply because of raw emotion going on through the stadium. I don't think they would have won that game because of their quality. They would have won that game because of the, like I said, the fans, everything that you mentioned, they got super hyped about just talking about. Now put that times 20,000 in a stadium, you're going to win a game. Like, you're going to win.
We were 2 days away from that game.
You'll find a way to win.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that the team would have stayed the same. The team probably would have won that game and then just gone and start tying and losing again. I don't think that this team was built very good. At the end of the day, they don't have the pieces like we've been talking about for the last 37 minutes. They need help. Pires is going to be a great help for them in the back. Pizarro is doing the best he can with what he got, and Robles needs to step up and become the player that everyone thinks that everyone believes he can be.
Let me ask you this: what should be the top priority?
You got to find a striker.
Okay, I agree.
You got to find someone to score. If you don't score, you lose games. As simple as that. I mean, how many you have Pizarro? Pizarro scored 2 of your 3 goals
all year.
I don't think Pizarro is a striker.
No, yeah, you're right.
He's a 10. So you need a number 9 up there. Yeah. Is Ibrahimovic available? Call him up.
I don't know. Today he might have just secured AC Milan in the Europa League, so I don't think he'll be leaving.
Call Ibrahimovic up. Is Ronaldo available? The old Ronaldo?
The old Ronaldo.
I mean, at this point, you need someone. Yeah. You need someone just to be able to be in the front and score goals. And you know what? Listen, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I forgot his name. Wow. The kid from Clemson.
Robbie Robinson.
Robbie Robinson might be that guy.
Might be. He's young and we don't know what he can bring.
So we haven't been able to see him play enough to say, hey, this is going to be the guy for the future or not. And
MLS super draft picks just don't excite me as they should, like an NBA draft pick. The MLS is not built off the super draft, and it never has been.
MLS draft is a joke.
And unless there's real star quality, like someone like Jordan Morris, I don't think that Robbie Robinson's going to be somewhere even close to Jordan Morris. I hope he proves me wrong, but it's not there. I just know that he
from what I saw in the first 2 games, he did very well.
Yeah,
he would have made a difference in the tournament, but again, a rookie, and so rookie jitters, and he probably would have made some mistakes too. But it's because he's a rookie, we would have given him the pass, which is fine because he needs to grow.
I would have liked to just see anybody else up front other than Agudelo.
There's nobody else, dude. That's the problem.
Carranza didn't even.
You gotta get some help up front. It doesn't have to be a DP. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be a DP. It could be, but it doesn't have to be.
It should be. We'll say
it should be. And yeah, it should be a DP. It doesn't have to be one, and it can still make a difference. Who knows?
Yeah. Ultimately, we're just completely disappointed with this team. There's not much to look forward to other than our next time we're on the field. But we were sold a dream. We were absolutely sold a dream that was not close to being. Right now, it's not close to being lived up to. And fans have, like I said, every fan has every right to be fully disappointed, infuriated, and there's there's a lot we need to improve on, and I think we need to win this fan base back. We need to win the Heart of Miami back, and maybe when we're playing in Lockhart, I mean, no doubt in my mind it sells all 20,000 seats, but what the atmosphere is going to be like, I'm not totally sure. It's we're very upset as a strong, like as a big fan. I could say I'm extremely upset, and I don't even think I'm probably the most upset because I love this team, but there are probably fans out there who wanted to see a lot more, and maybe they have lost fans. I don't think they have, but maybe they have, and it's disheartening. Ultimately, it's completely disheartening.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite way from you. I think that this team has a lot to look forward to. No, the way you're talking and the way some people that I've been watching on Twitter talk, it feels like they're dead, and it feels like they're not going to keep going.
Yeah, because we're 0-5.
But they just started out. This team's gonna be around for years.
Correct. So
this year should not be the reason people get upset at them. And again, it goes back to the whole thing that we talked about for the beginning of the show, that you were promised a dream, and I get that, I understand that, and I can relate to that. I can, but you got to be realistic.
Who's going to score? Who's going to? How are we going to know these individual
stuff like that? Stuff like that can be found. Like it's gonna come.
Not until the 2021 season,
and that's fine. And if that's what it takes, and that's what it takes. But this team is not gonna fall on his head and die. No, it's still going to be around.
It's going to be around,
and there's things to look forward to. Perez coming in is great. Hopefully Pizarro, lights a fire on everybody else's butt and says, "Hey, listen, you guys have got to help me. I need to. If you help me to help you, and we can get stuff done." The team isn't good. The team isn't good, but it's still Miami's team. Miami's still going to support the team, and the team isn't dead. I get it. I understand where fans are coming from. I really do. I understand where they're coming from. But you just have to be a little more realistic about the first ever season. I have never seen a team besides Houston and Atlanta dominate their first season. And so it was bound to happen. Here's the thing. If they don't win a game the entire year and they go like 0 and whatever, how many games
is impossible, but
yeah. Right. So it's just gonna happen. And who knows? And maybe they just lost 5 games and they go on a 5-game win streak, and then what?
Then we'll say we actually did have something to look forward to, like you're saying. But I don't know where. I don't know how to be. I don't know where to find the promise. I don't know where to find, other than Pizarro and Lewis Morgan, I don't know where to find something to look forward to, because I know the individual mistakes will still come. I know that we don't have the quality to play the Alonso style of play.
Right.
I know that Robles is completely washed at this point. Maybe he turns it around, but he's washed. We're going to have to play some homegrown player like Drake Callender from UCLA or McCarthy, who has been a backup his whole career. I don't want to do that. I want to have the starting quality right here, right now, like we were told. And that's the whole theme that we were expecting so much. And maybe it was a little unfair to have that pressure, but if it was there, at least give me a single point in 5 games. I mean, come on.
I don't think Robles is washed up. I think Robles is just older.
How much was he even really asked to do, though? Yes, the defense wasn't great, but I don't know. What was his save to goal ratio? It was probably terrible. There weren't a lot of shots on target in these 3 games at all. Yet 5 goals go in. It was terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm not defending him saying that he was good in the games. I'm just saying I don't think it's fair to call him washed up. I don't think he's washed up. There's a reason why he's in the team. He is a proven veteran, and he can create some magic once in a while, because you weren't calling him washed up after
I wasn't at all. But
so I don't think he's washed up. I think that he just probably did not have the best 3 games of his career, which is fine, because nobody else in that team had good 3 games besides Morgan. But yeah, I just think a little bit the criticism you're giving them is a little unfair. And I'm not even the biggest of Inter Miami fans. Like, I support the team, I like them, but I'm not gonna die for them.
Yeah.
And so it's a little unfair. They're not like the worst team in the world. They're pretty bad.
It feels like it. It really feels like it.
They're pretty bad, but they're not the worst. I've seen a lot worse.
But
You
and
know,
here's the thing: you have been around the MLS and doing your thing for a long time, so you've had the experiences of watching expansion teams grow. As not to say that I haven't been around MLS like that, but I didn't have the investment. I
right,
wasn't fully invested in MLS until Inter Miami came. So when you're a fan that's like that, who don't. Yes, I know that it's always rough for an expansion team in any single sport, right?
right.
But it was supposed to be different. We were supposed to be
But if you
up to
think about
Atlanta.
it, but if you
It
think
wasn't
about it,
supposed to be this FC Cincinnati, Minnesota, Orlando kind of thing. It was supposed to be
but if you
we
think about it, Orlando wasn't supposed to be the way Orlando is either.
that correct.
And
Absolutely
so
correct.
what happened was after their first year, they had to shake things around, which I think is going to happen to Miami. I don't think Alonso stays after this year if they don't turn it around.
I
And
disagree with that. I think Alonso's going to be around for a long time.
seeing him, well, yeah, but seeing the way he was reacting to things on Monday, I don't want to see him after a year. Like he just seems complacent. He doesn't really have like I don't know. I'm not a bit. I'm not one of the. I'm not sold on Alonso yet.
I'm sold on Alonso solely because I think that his style of play could work. I think that going after MLS defenses is the right idea with direct balls, and that's what he likes. We just don't have the quality to play that style yet, and I don't think necessarily that's a reason to get rid of him because, like we said, the quality can turn around. We can sign players and things like that. But it all comes down to this team was being built before we had the announcement of a head coach.
Yeah,
And that could have a lot. Maybe if Alonso's here from January 1st, from December or November,
yeah,
then
that's
it
one of the
changes
bigger.
things. And we
That's one
don't
of the
sign
biggest
some of
things.
these people.
Exactly, and that's ultimately one of the biggest things as well because Alonso didn't have a say in who he wanted.
Yep.
Once you saw Alonso having a say, he
Other
got
than
the players he
Pizarro,
wanted. Well, yeah, but he like Alonso's here now, and he got Perez that he wanted,
yeah.
and so that you're absolutely right. How much of this is Alonso being forced to have the players he didn't want to have that don't fit his style of play, which I will argue is a lot. I'll agree to say like a lot of these players don't fit his style. I don't think a Lee Win fits his style. I don't think a De La Garza fits his style, and so that's why they're not playing. And in his mind, he probably thinks the guys that are playing fit his style better.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't, and maybe it does, but they're not the quality players that he used to have in the past. And so, yes, these guys might fit the style that he's used to playing, but they're not to the caliber of the players he's had in the past. And so,
That's
yes, I don't like I probably answered my own question why De La Garza and Wynn aren't playing. They probably don't. It's probably players that he did not want to have that quote unquote don't fit his style and that he's forced to have, and he's there.
yeah.
And so, but the problem is Alonso needs to realize that, hey, something isn't working and I need to make this work. Let me try a different approach that I didn't have before, and it might work. Like, who would have thunk it might work?
Yeah. Man, it's tough because there are so many different variables.
Yeah, it's not easy.
There's so many different perspectives, and you can look at it a million different ways. Is it team chemistry? Is it the quality? Is it everything just combined? Is it the Alonso style play that's not working? Is it the chemistry? Is it the quality of the players? Is it the circumstances we've been under? Is it just because we're an expansion team? Or is it any of these things, or is it everything all to one?
Yeah.
To me, it's probably everything all together accumulated up just to completely destroy this team.
Yeah.
But
and it's a thing that like we're talking about for the last hour. It's going to take time, and to figure out all this stuff that you just asked, like is it X, Y, Z, or W, or whatever. You need to have a bigger, like a bigger amount of games to play, so you can see throughout games. Like, okay,
and I will say that playing in a tournament style when it counts towards the regular season is awful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think that was right, and I think tournament style brings out different styles of play. I don't think that it's not a marathon here. You're running a sprint in a tournament, right?
Exactly.
So that might have had something to do with it as well.
This team is not built for for sprints. They're built for marathons.
Not right. Yeah, not at all. So we would have seen a lot of I don't think we'd be
Look
having
at you coming around.
Yeah. I want. Listen, I'm a fan. You know, I'm a huge fan. You know
Look
that,
at
right?
you coming around. I'm so proud.
I want to have faith. I do have faith, and I'm willing to be patient. I'm still obviously very upset. I'm infuriated, and I think I have every right to be.
Sure, it's you do.
It's
I'm
just
not saying you don't. Yeah, you for sure. You can be upset.
And if I weren't talking to you, I wouldn't be looking I wouldn't be looking at the potential. But hey, I am. So
I feel like
you.
feel like if you're talking to all your friends there, like, yeah, this team sucks.
No, I don't. I'm not. The team sucks, but that's it. It's I love it. Like, I love the team, and I think that there are,
and people like you are never going to end, and they're never going to leave. And so that's why it goes back to what I was saying. Like, I don't understand why Beckham couldn't have been this authentic Beckham from the start, because people like you would have still been a fan. And you're gonna, okay, well, yeah, it's gonna take time.
He didn't have to draw in a fan base as hard as he didn't have to try that hard, and he did. He tried hard, and I guess I can respect it. But if you're not going to deliver, then a lot of respect is lost, I would say.
Yeah.
And
I feel like from watching from reading up on Twitter lately, I see a lot of people have been questioning him now. It's a different beast for him as well. Because Beckham is used to being critiqued as a soccer player, not as an owner. So now it's a whole different ballgame. But that's another topic for another episode.
Absolutely,
because
100%.
Beckham is
I love David Beckham.
Yeah, we could talk about Beckham for a whole episode on how he's handled this new role he has. But that's another episode for another time. What everyone needs to understand is this team is young, this team's new, they're gonna change. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just take a deep breath, Austin. It's going to be okay. Miami's going to play again. There's going to come a time, maybe next year, that you're going to be able to go to the game and jump with your friends and have the smoke bombs and have the flags. It's going to happen. It's funny because everyone sees what's going on now and feel like this is, I'm not saying you, just saying in general.
Yeah.
But the other people I'm talking to, it's like, oh, is that how it's going to be forever now? Are we never going to be able to watch NBA live? I'm like,
no, it'll come back.
It'll come back eventually.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be okay. And I understand the frustration. I really do. Like, I'm not frustrated, and I've never been, because I've told you from the beginning, like, I'm a fan, but I'm not like a fan.
Yeah.
So I'm realistic, and I told you this from day one. Like, hey, we're not going to win this run. We're not going to win this tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep thinking that, but it's going to come. They had a rough start. They got knocked out, to be expected from a new team, but there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm excited. I'm excited for them to go to Lockhart / Inter Miami Fort Lauderdale Stadium, whatever they're naming it. Eventually making their move down to Miami. There's a lot to look forward to. They do.
I'd wake. If there was a game tomorrow at 9 a.m., I wouldn't sleep. I'd stay all the way up to watch it again. Trust me, the excitement is still there.
Right, exactly. And so and it's fair to question what went wrong. And I think we've beat that up a lot today, like what went wrong and what can be fixed. And so, it's just one of those things now that we have to wait those 4 weeks or however long it's going to take to get back soccer into the regular schedule and go from there. And I think a win's closer than everyone thinks. It's just that, personally, to me, my opinion is that the tournament style stressed them out a little more than they should.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough thing to have to go, like, thinking about a tournament and all of that. Just more to think about other than just a regular season had an effect. I
think the tournament styles, like, not freaked them out, but like stressed them a lot more.
It's not a team that any expansion team has ever gone through before. It's not a thing that any expansion team has had to go through. You've never had to play a tournament like this.
Who knows? Maybe in 4 weeks you're going to start winning games again, and then your whole morale is going to change.
I hope so. I hope this next time in 4 weeks when we're back on live on a Tuesday night, it's a totally different discussion.
Yeah, but hey, don't just because they're not playing. This is for everybody else listening. Does not mean we're not doing this. Every Tuesday night we're gonna have an episode coming out. We probably next week we'll talk a little bit about the actual tournament and what's going on in the knockoff stages and things like that. But and 90 Minutes Strong doesn't end because Inter Miami ends. We cover Inter Miami, but we also cover soccer in general. And so, if my Inter Miami isn't playing or Inter Miami doesn't have any news to talk about, there's plenty to talk about in soccer world. And so
Absolutely.
we're live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. YouTube, Periscope, or Twitter, whatever it's called.
Twitter, yeah, same thing.
And yeah, follow us on our social media page. It's right below Austin,
There you go.
right there, 90 minutes strong. We Austin's spearheading a lot of the tweets now, and they're very good stuff. We're doing some good stuff there. And if you're a soccer fan and you enjoy if you enjoy just MLS or any type of soccer in general, that's the place for you to go.
Absolutely.
All the news and all the information coming out.
Yep. So make sure you do that, guys. Like Pedro said, let's reiterate it. Tuesday nights, we'll be here. It's not ending. And I'm very excited to keep on, talking with you and follow MLS and soccer in general as much as possible because it's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys are enjoying, continue to enjoy. But we're still here for you every Tuesday.
Yeah, we're gonna be here. We're not leaving. We're not going anywhere. And so just we'll see you guys next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Same time, same place. But for me, take care now. And then Austin, take us out.
Yeah, thanks guys for coming by. And I will try and turn my my morale around a little bit. We'll be a little more
upside down.
We'll be a little more positive next episode for sure.
Turn your frown upside down.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks guys for coming by. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Take care, guys.